The air was heavy. The room smelled like metal, smoke, and fear. Bright lights hung over a large metal stage. Crowds of aliens stood around it, whispering in strange languages. Some laughed. Some looked serious. All were here for the same reason. To buy this was not a place for kindness. It was an auction house. A place where living beings were sold like objects. One by one, the slaves were pushed onto the stage. Some cried, some screamed. Others looked down, already broken. Then they brought her out. She walked slowly. Her feet were bare. Her clothes were torn and dirty. On her back, glowing numbers were painted in bright yellow ink. Those numbers were her price. But it was not the numbers that caught attention. It was her eyes. She did not cry. She did not look afraid. She looked calm, cold, and far away, like she had already left this world in her mind. In the crowd, a man stood silently, human, the only one in the crowd who was not in chains. He wore an old coat covered in dust. His face was hard. His eyes were sharp. His name was Cain. It had not come to buy, he had come to see, maybe to understand, maybe to remember. He had seen too much in his life. War, death, pain. He was a soldier once, but that was long ago. Now, he stood in a world ruled by alien empires. Humans were no longer free. Many had been taken. Many were sold. And no one came to help them. The auctioneer, a fat alien with 4 arms, shouted loudly. Look at this one. Strong bones. Healthy. A fine worker or a companion. Bidding starts now. Voices rose from the crowd. Prices were shouted. The woman said nothing. She did not move. Cain watched her. Something about her felt wrong, not weak, not broken. Just wrong, like she did not belong here. His fingers twitched. The price went higher. One alien offered a full case of star crystals. Another added weapons. Auctioneer smiled wide. Then Cain raised his hand. The crowd turned. Silence fell for a moment. A human? Bidding? The auctioneer blinked, surprised. Do you offer more? Cain said nothing. He just nodded once. The auctioneer laughed. Strange, but accepted. The bell rang. The sale was complete. The woman looked up. Her eyes met Cain's. For a second, they held that look. She was not thankful, not angry, just confused. Cain turned and walked away. The guards pushed her forward. She followed him, not knowing what else to do. They walked through dirty streets, past glowing signs and silent watchers. She stayed behind him, silent. Finally, they reached a small room in a broken building. He opened the door and stepped inside. She waited. Come in, he said. His voice was low, calm. She stepped inside. The door closed. There was a small bed, a table, a bottle of water. He pointed to the chair. Sit. She sat, still quiet. He gave her the bottle. She drank slowly, her hand shaking. After a long pause, she asked, Why? Cain looked at her. His face did not change. You looked like someone who needed to be free. I was sold, she said. You paid, I paid so no one else could own you. She looked down. What do you want from me? Silence again. He stood up and walked to the window. Outside, ships flew in the dark sky. You have a name? I asked. She nodded. Mira. Well, Mira, you're not a number anymore. You're not property. You're free. She looked at him, trying to understand. Her voice was soft. Why would you do that? He didn't answer. He knew what he had seen. A woman who had nothing left, but still held her head high. That kind of strength was rare, and maybe, just maybe, he saw someone worth saving. But what he didn't know was that Mira was hiding something. Something big and soon. The past would come looking for her, and for him. Asterisk, the door clicked shut behind her. Mira stood still in the middle of the room. She had never seen a place so quiet. No chains, no guards, no screaming, The soft hum of machines outside and the smell of real food. It felt like a trap. The man, Cain, didn't speak much. He moved slowly, like someone who had learned to be careful with every step. He placed a warm meal on the table. Simple bread, cooked rice, and clean water. She didn't move. "You can eat," he said. She looked at the plate, then at him. "Do you want from me?" Cain shook his head. "Nothing." Her hands tightened. "People like you don't buy slaves just to give them food." "I didn't buy a slave," he said. "I bought your freedom." Mira stared at him, silent. "No. Chains, no orders. You're free now. You can leave when you want." She didn't believe him. No one was ever free. Not anymore. Still, her hunger spoke louder than fear. She sat down and ate. Slowly at first, then faster. She hadn't tasted real food in weeks. Cain watched her quietly. Not like an owner. Like a man. Like a soldier looking at another soldier, someone who had seen war, who had survived something terrible. "Why did they capture you?" he asked. Mira stopped chewing. Her eyes went cold. "I was running. From what? Everything." That was all she said. He didn't push. He understood what silence meant. He had used silence many times to hide pain. Later, she lay on a small bed while Cain sat near the door. He didn't sleep. He kept watch like he always did in enemy territory. In the darkness, Mira finally asked, "What are you?" "A man who fought too many battles," he said, "lost too many people." She didn't answer, but in her heart, she knew that feeling. The next day, Cain showed her a small bag of clothes. Nothing fancy, just clean, warm, and human. She touched the fabric like it was gold. "I don't have money to pay you," she said. "I didn't ask for money." "Then why?" He looked out the window. "Because someone once saved me. I never got to thank her." Myra's eyes softened for just a second, then went sharp again. She stood tall. "I don't need saving," she said. "I know," he replied. But Cain had seen the marks on her back, numbers, bruises, scars. No one came through that without needing help. He didn't say it. He just handed her the clothes and stepped outside so she could change that night. As they sat by a small heater, Mira whispered something. "I left someone behind." Cain looked at her. "Who?" She hesitated. Her voice cracked. "My children." Cain froze. She had kids. "How many?" "To a boy and a girl." She looked down. "I hid them before they took me. But I don't know if they're still there." Cain leaned forward. "Where?" She gave the name of an old storage unit deep inside the alien auction compound. He knew that place. High security, full of cameras and guards. "You want to go back there?" he asked. "I have to," she said. Her voice was steady now. "They're all I have." Cain didn't answer right away. He thought of the risk. The guards, the bounty hunters. But he also thought of two small kids. Hiding, cold, waiting. Finally, he stood up. "Then we go at night," he said. Mira blinked. "Why would you help me?" He looked her in the eyes. "Because no child should be raised without a mother. No mother should be left without her. Children." Mira didn't cry. She had forgotten how. But something inside her cracked, like the first warm ray of light after a long, dark storm. Outside, the city slept. But inside Cain's small room, a plan was being made. Tomorrow, they would walk into danger. Into the heart of the place where she was sold. But this time, she would not walk alone. The wind outside was cold, but inside Cain's mind, the silence was louder. He didn't know what was waiting for them, only that it was worth the risk. Mira walked beside him, wearing a hood, her face hidden. She didn't speak much. Her eyes stayed sharp, always scanning the shadows. They moved through the dark alleys like ghosts, stepping over broken machines and forgotten walls. The old auction zone was just ahead, silent now, but still dangerous. Cain had broken into places before. Military bases, supply depots, enemy camps. But this felt different. This time, he was not breaking in for war. He was breaking in. Children. The storage building was tall and gray, like a forgotten tower. Its windows were black, its doors sealed tight. Mira pointed to a side wall. There, that's where I hid them. Kane crouched low, pulling out a small tool. He cut the wires near the lock, slow and careful. One wrong spark and alarms would scream. Mira waited. Holding her breath, clicked, the door opened. They stepped inside. The air smelled old, like dust, oil, and fear. Rows of empty crates lined the room. Some were broken. Others had old slave collars inside. Mira's hands shook. She moved fast now, her steps echoing softly. Her fingers touched the walls, counting 1, 2, 3, until she reached a small crate in the far corner. She tapped it once. No answer. Again, nothing. Her heart dropped. They were here, she whispered. I swear they were here. Kane stepped closer. Let me try. He pulled the top of the crate open slowly. At first there was only darkness. Then movement. Tiny fingers. A soft gasp. 2 small faces peeked. Out. Eyes wide. Afraid. Tired. A boy and a girl. The girl was maybe 5. The boy no more than 3. They looked at Mira, confused. Then the girl's eyes filled with tears. Mom? Right. Mira dropped to her knees, arms wide. Yes, baby. It's me. I'm here. The girl crawled into her arms, crying. The boy followed, silent but clinging. Kane turned away for a moment. He didn't want them to see the water in his eyes. They stayed hidden in that crate for a few minutes. Just breathing, just feeling real again. Then Kane spoke. We have to go. Before someone sees, Mira nodded, lifting the boy gently. The girl held her hand tightly. The way out was slower. Every sound felt louder. Every corner looked like a trap, but they made it. Outside, Kane led them through the shadows. Back to the old path. Back to safety. No alarms. No guards. It felt like a miracle. That night, in Kane's small room, Mira cleaned her children's faces with a wet cloth. She whispered soft words in their ears, songs from Earth, songs she thought she'd never sing again. The girl, her name was Lila, curled beside Myra on the bed. The boy, his name was Sam, sat in Kane's lap, holding a small toy cane. Had given him a silver coin with a human star on it. You saved them, Mira said quietly. No, Kane replied. You did. I just opened a door. Myra looked at him, her eyes softer now. Why are you really helping us? Kane didn't answer for a moment. Then he said, because when I look at them, I remember what I lost. She didn't ask more. She didn't need to. Later, after the children were asleep, Kane stood at the window again. Mira joined him, arms crossed. They won't stop looking for us, she said. They don't just want me. They want them. Why? Kane asked. She looked down at her hands. Because they're not just kids. What do you mean? They were born in a lab, the aliens. They were experimenting. It's mixing human genes with something else. He said it was to create the perfect worker. Or the perfect soldier. Kane stared at her. Are they dangerous? No, she said quickly. They're just children. But it's different. Smarter. Stronger. They learn fast. Kane was silent. Then he said, good, that means they'll survive. Outside. Stars burned silently in the sky. But inside, new family had been. Born not by blood, by choice, by pain, by love, and they were ready to fight for each other. Because sometimes, family is not who you come from. It's who stands beside you. When the world wants you gone, it began with a flicker. A small red light on a drone. Passing quietly through the street, no sound, no warning, but it had already seen them far away. In a dark control room, an alien officer leaned forward. The screen showed a grainy image. A man, a woman, and 2 small children. Human. The officer smiled. He pressed a button. All hunters, he said coldly. We found her, and the kids. Mira didn't know the drone had seen them. She was busy. Packing clothes, food, water. Her hands moved fast, her eyes sharper than before. Cain stood by the door, loading his weapon. He didn't like the silence outside. It felt wrong. The children, Lila and Sam, were drawing on the floor with broken chalk. For a moment, everything felt normal. Then the screen on Cain's device blinked. One word flashed. Tagged. They froze. There. Coming. Myra's head snapped up. How much time? Not enough. The escape began like a fire, fast, hot, and full of fear. Cain picked up Sam. Myra held Lila's hand tight. They ran out the back, through broken alleys, past old markets, into the shadows. Behind them, ships landed. Boots hit the ground. Voices shouted in alien tongue. They want the kids alive. One shouted, kill the man if needed. Mira heard it. Her heart burned. She didn't run faster for herself. She ran for them. They reached an old train tunnel. It hadn't worked in years, but the walls were strong, and the path was dark. Inside, Cain set the children down. They were shaking but quiet. Cain turned to her. You said they're special. What can they do? Not powers, she said. But their minds. They understand things fast. Maps, patterns, even languages. Cain looked at the kids. That's enough. Gave Sam a small device. Hold this. If it glows red, hide. Don't speak. Sam nodded, serious. Lila held her mother's arm tight. Will we be okay? Mira kissed her forehead. As long as we're together. Outside, the hunters split into teams. Drones scanned every street. They followed footprints, heat trails, whispers. One of them stopped near the tunnel. He turned. On his scanner, it blinked once, then twice. The trail was fresh. Inside the tunnel, Cain set traps. Old tech, explosives, motion alarms. He worked fast. With the calm of a soldier who had done this 100 times before, Mira helped. She wasn't just a mother. She had trained before. She knew how to fight. We can't run forever, she said. I know, Cain replied. So we stop running. You mean, yes, we fight? Hours passed. Then it came. The first drone flew into the tunnel, fast, silent. Cain shot it down in one hit. Boom, more footsteps, or lights. The tunnel lit up like a war zone. Cain and Mira moved like shadows, shooting, dodging, protecting the children. One hunter reached the back where the kids were hiding. He raised his gun. Then Lila screamed, not in fear and warning. Cain turned and threw a small bomb. It exploded in smoke and light. The hunter dropped, blind. They fought for minutes that felt like hours. When the last shot was fired, the tunnel went quiet. Bodies lay still. Smoke filled the air. Mira dropped to her knees. Hugging her children, Cain leaned against the wall, breathing hard, blood on his arm. They had won. For now, later, when the sun rose weakly through the broken sky, they sat near a fire made from scrap. Cain stitched his wound. Mira gave the kids water. We can't stay here, Cain said. I'll send more. Mira nodded. There's a place, far from the cities, where old rebels used to hide. Can we get there? Yes, she said, but it's not easy. Cain looked at the children, tired, dirty, but safe. Nothing good ever is. That night, Lila crawled into Cain's lap. Are you our dad now? She asked softly. He looked at her for a long time. Then he smiled. If you want me to be, said. She nodded. Sam leaned against him, half asleep. Mira watched them, her heart full of fear of love, something she hadn't felt in years. Hope, but far above them, in the black sky, a ship was already moving faster, smarter, and it carried something worse than soldiers. It carried someone who knew Myra by name. The forest was quiet, too quiet. Cain walked ahead with his weapon ready. Mira followed with the children, keeping them close. Every leaf, every broken branch sounded louder than it should. They had left the tunnels behind. Now they moved through wild land where no cities stood, where satellites didn't reach. But danger had a long memory, and it was still chasing them at night. They lit no fire. The children slept between Cain and Myra, covered in old jackets. Mira stayed awake, eyes on the stars. They're tracking us, she whispered. Kane nodded. Not by sight. No, she said. By blood. Kane turned to her slowly. What do you mean? Myra looked at her children. Lila breathing soft and deep, Sam curled tight like a ball. They were not born in a hospital, she said. They were created. Kane sat up. You told me they were from a lab, but you didn't say how. Took a deep breath. I was captured 5 years ago, taken to a research base. They used my DNA, but mixed it with something else. Something alien. Kane's jaw tightened. They made me carry the embryos, she continued. Said I was perfect stock because I had survived radiation exposure. Strong genes, human stubbornness, and the father. Kane asked. There was no father. Not in the human way. It was all science. She looked at him with pain in her eyes. They're my kids. I carried them. I love them. But what's inside them? It's not just human. Kane didn't speak right away. He looked at Sam, who had once fixed a broken scanner with just one look. At Lila, who remembered every path they ever walked. Too perfect, too fast, and yet they were still children. They still laughed, cried, dreamed. They're not monsters, Mira said quietly, but the people who made them. They wanted weapons, tools, not souls. And you escaped? I ran the moment I found out they planned to remove the children from me after birth. I stole a pod, hid for years. But they found me again, took me, left the kids behind. I thought I'd never see them again. Kane's voice was calm, but low. And now they want them back. Yes, to study them, control them, use them in war. Kane stood and looked out into the dark trees. They'll come with everything they have. Far above them, in a hidden space station orbiting the planet, a tall figure stood before a large screen. His face was smooth, silver-blue skin glowing under dim lights. His name was Varex, the lead genetic commander of the Synth Order. On the screen were images of Sam and Lila. Subjects 47 and 48 have activated advanced neural patterns, the AI voice reported. Send the reclaimers, Varex said. Alive, untouched. The woman too? And the male? The AI asked. Varex's eyes narrowed. Eliminate him. Back on the ground, Mira stared into the fireless dark. They will try. To take them, she said. They won't, Kane replied. You don't understand. They're faster than before, more organized. They'll come with machines we've never seen. Then we fight smarter, Kane said. We use their fear. They're not afraid. They should be, Kane whispered, because I've fought monsters, and I've beaten them. The next morning, Lila drew something strange in the dirt, a star map Kane didn't recognize. Where did you see this? In my head, she said, while I was sleeping. Kane looked at Mira. They've never been there. She said, shocked. Sam added, I know how to fly that ship too. What ship? He pointed to the drawing. This one. Mira fell silent. Their memories were growing, their minds evolving. The aliens hadn't just made soldiers, they had made something more. Later, as they moved toward the old rebel zone, Kane spoke quietly to Myra. I'm not afraid of what they are. Why not? She asked. Because they still hold your hand when they cross a river. Because they call me Dad. Because they dream. Mira smiled softly for the first time in days. But deep inside, she knew this peace would not last. Not while Varex was still hunting. Not while her children's blood carried secrets powerful enough. To start a war, it started with the sound of birds flying away. No one saw the enemy arrive. No engine noise. No warning, just sudden silence. Kane looked up from the old radio, eyes narrowing. They're here. High above the forest, 3 black ships cut through the clouds, shaped like knives. Silent. Soldiers wore silver armor. Cold eyes, no emotions. Leading them was not a general, something worse. A machine with a face, a reclaimer, programmed for one thing only. Capture the children. Kill the rest. Mira had felt it too. A deep pressure in her chest. A pulse. The ground she grabbed Lila and Sam and pulled them behind an old metal door. Kane met her eyes and gave a short nod. "We do it now," he said. They had prepared for this moment all night. Kane had set traps in the ruins of the old rebel zone, pressure bombs under leaves, tripwires on stairs, power cells wired to explode. Mira had mapped every wall, every hallway, and the children. They remembered it all. The ships landed, doors opened. The reclaimer stepped out tall, silver glowing with blue veins of light. It raised a hand. The soldiers marched. The first trap hit fast. Boom. A wave of fire burst from the ground, sending metal flying. 2 soldiers fell. The others moved without blinking. Kane fired from the shadows, short, clean shots. No wasted bullets. Mira threw a flash bomb from behind a broken wall. The light cracked the air. A soldier screamed, clutching its eyes. But the reclaimer kept walking, slow and steady. Nothing touched it. Inside the bunker, Lila held her brother's hand tight. "We have to go," she said. "Where?" he asked. "There's a way out." "Through the tunnel." Sam nodded, but not yet. "We wait for Mom." They had already memorized the escape plan. Kane had trusted them, not because they were weapons, but because they were smarter than anyone ever expected. Outside, Kane and Mira fought side by side. She moved like she had trained for this all. Her life, he bled, but didn't stop. Then the reclaimer reached them. One hit knocked Kane off his feet. Mira screamed and fired again and again, but the bullets bounced off its armor. It grabbed her by the throat. "You are property of the synth order," it said in a cold voice. "Turn the subjects." Mira gasped for air. Kane rose, face bloody, limping, and then he did something the machine didn't expect. He laughed. "You forgot one thing." The reclaimer turned and saw a child. Sam, standing in the open, holding a device override code. Sam said softly, "Gamma-0-7-break-chain." The reclaimer froze, then shook, then screamed. The device in Sam's hand glowed, a hidden failsafe. Myra had stolen it during her escape from the lab. Sam had memorized the code. The reclaimer dropped Mira and crashed to the ground. Twitching, Kane rushed forward and pulled Mira back into cover. "You okay?" he asked. She coughed, but nodded. "You taught him that?" Kane asked. She smiled through the pain. "He figured it out himself." The rest of the soldiers started to fall back, confused, leaderless. That's when Kane stood up, not to run, but to walk forward. He raised his gun and shouted, "This is your only chance. You leave or you leave in pieces." The remaining aliens paused and then retreated. One by one, they vanished into the trees. Silence returned. The war, at least for now, was over that night. They sat together under the broken roof of the old rebel station. Mira's neck was bruised. Kane's arm was wrapped. The kids huddled between them, warm and safe. "We beat them," Lila whispered. "For now," Kane said. "But they'll try." "Again. Then we fight again," Sam said with a small grin. Mira looked at Kane. "You almost died." "So did you." "You didn't run," she said. "Neither did you." They both smiled, tired, bleeding, but alive, together up in the stars. Rex watched the failure. His eyes burned cold. "We underestimated them," he said. The AI asked, "What now?" Sparks answered, "Now we evolve." The war didn't end with a bang. It ended with a breath, cold, shaky. But alive, Kane stood on a hill looking down at the small green valley. No towers, no ships, no scanners in the sky. Just trees, wind, and silence. Real silence. Behind him, Mira held Sam on her back. Leela ran ahead, laughing for the first time without fear in her eyes. They had found it. A hidden place where the old rebel signal still blinked. Slow and faint, a message sent long ago, safe for humans. No questions. Just rest. And they had answered. The buildings here were small and broken, but strong. Nature had taken back most of the land. Flowers grew through cracks, or vines wrapped around walls. To some it looked like ruins. To them it looked like home. Inside one of the shelters, Kane fixed a stove while Myra unpacked dry food. Sam played with wires, building a small sensor from scraps. Lila drew stars on the floor with chalk. No alarms, no running, just living. Later that night, Mira stepped outside and found Cain sitting alone, looking up at the stars. "They're still out there," she said. "I know. They'll send more. I hope they do." She smiled, still fighting. Cain shook his head, still protecting. They sat in silence. Mira looked at her hands. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you didn't buy me that?" "Day, every day," Cain said, "and I thank the stars I did." "I wasn't kind. I didn't trust you. You weren't supposed to," he replied. "You were surviving." She looked at him now, really looked. "You gave me back my children, my freedom, my life." Cain turned toward her, voice low. "And you gave me something I didn't know I still needed. What's that, a reason?" Inside, Lila had placed 2 small stones on the shelf, one for each parent. She had written names on them in childlike handwriting, Mom, Dad. Cain saw them in the morning. He said nothing, but for the first time in years, his heart felt full. Weeks passed. The children grew stronger, brighter. Sam built a solar water heater. Lila mapped the entire forest and shared her plans with animals like it was a secret club. They were different, yes, but they were also more human than anyone Cain had met. They cried when birds died. They laughed when the wind changed. They forgave easily. They dreamed big. That was the part the aliens never understood. That was what made them dangerous and beautiful. One day, Cain walked up the hill again, holding a small beacon in his hand. He turned it on not to call for help, but to send a message. A short one. "We survived. We are safe. We are family. If you're human, come home." He sent it once, then turned it off. No response came that day. But maybe, somewhere out there, someone would hear it. Someone alone. And they would follow the signal, just like he once followed the sound of a voice that didn't beg, but waited. At sunset, Ira cooked a meal while the children played tag through the tall grass. Cain watched them from the doorway. Myra turned to him. This is enough." He nodded. "No more running," he said. "No more hiding," she added. He looked at her. No more being alone. They sat together, the 4 of them, under the open sky. No lights above, no alarms. Just stars. Cain spoke quietly, as Lila leaned her head on his shoulder. They painted her body with auction numbers to sell her. Mira looked at him. "But I chose to love her," Cain finished, "and raise her kids like they were mine." "Because they are," Myra whispered. And in that moment, the past faded, the pain faded, and only the present remained. Not perfect, not safe, it's forever but real. And free, because home was never about walls or places. Home was the people who refused to leave, the ones who stayed, the ones who fought, the ones who chose love, even when the world chose fear.